What's the biggest red flag when meeting new people? They don't really listen to you or pay attention to what you're talking about, but expect you to be totally engaged with whatever they say and act put out if you aren't. Ah, the distracting noise coming out of that other person's mouth stopped. Finally, it's my chance to talk about me. Yeah, it's like they are not listening at all, but just have an algorithm running that looks for keywords in your story that they can relate to one of their stories. The interrupter. Nah, man, some people have a habit of interrupting, but do not mean no bad. My best friend has dyspraxia, no idea how to spell it, and he always interrupts people and they get mad. And he always asks me if he's getting better with it, and tried his best to improve, but he doesn't mean it. He's a really good friend. That isn't a red flag unless you bring it up and they brush it off. When they try to one-up you in everything you say, or even worse than that when they try to two-up everything you say. What's the difference between sharing stories that relate to the original story and one-upping? Oh, you went to... Insert cold place here. Well, I went there at winter, and it was recorded as one of the coldest days ever. Oh, you went to... Insert cold place here. Yeah, me too. Did you try insert local restaurant? It was nice. What did you do there? Say you broke your arm and were telling people about it. Harmless related story would be if someone said, "Oh yeah, that happened to me too once. It sucked. Hope your arm gets better soon." One-upping would be, "Well, I once broke both my arms and my legs all at the same time while also having cancer. It was terrible." With perhaps an added, "You should be lucky you don't have it as bad as I did." My friend's brother-in-law has a game for these people, which is hilarious, especially when they try one-upping and lying to people about illnesses or medical stuff. He called it the necrotizing fasciitis game. He basically gets people to one-up him, while dropping in different diseases which have really high mortality rates, like NF, until they admit to having a disease that they almost definitely could not have survived. He then takes great pleasure in recounting the stories to us. They don't listen to what you say and respond accordingly. They only wait for you to stop talking so they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. I know people that don't even wait for me to stop. Now imagine those people being your best buds. When they start talking about the tons of money I am going to be making with their new business venture in selling knives door to door. That's oddly specific. It's common as hell though, vector marketing and MLM bullshit that is. They'd be on the same level as hardcore conspiracy theorists where they think they're on the next wave of thinking when they're so far back in actuality. I used to work for them. Yeah, a big part of it is guilting people into buying knives, even though they are good knives but overpriced. But the money is no joke. I made $800 in a day once from selling one set, and I'd average $200 to $300 in a PT. I sold $35K worth of knives over 3 summers with them. I made a bunch with them in college. The amount of people they go through is hilariously horrifying though. They prey on young people who think they can sell anything to anyone. Each branch probably has like 3 people that make money and a constant revolving door of 15 new people every other month. I remember listening to new orientations every month, lol. Hi, my name is E, and I'm an asshole. Literally how the shop manager introduced himself to everyone. Like it's an excuse. Oh god, this can fuck right off along with the "I'm just a blunt person, I say it like it is" group. Ugh. I have an employee like this. Most often these people will dish out the meanest, vilest things about everyone else, but can't take the slightest criticism back. My former manager was like that. She's the reason I quit my 3-year job. She would literally say my performance was atrocious, even though I was the only manager physically working. And then when I called her out on something, she would say in front of everyone I was making smart-ass comments. She can go fuck herself. Right after I left, she begged me to come back because I was her assistant manager and there was nobody else wanted or was good enough for the job. My history teacher said that on the first day I met him. One day in the school year, while adjusting to my antidepressants, he called on me in the middle of class to say, take him for example, just zones out and doesn't open his notebook as soon as he sits down. He will be someone you see fail. I've had a couple of classes like that. But honestly, if you think about it from his perspective, he probably thinks you're the asshole. My dad proudly calls himself an asshole, and he will use it when people call him out of bullshit he's doing. Alright then, I guess I'm a racist. He 1000% some. Alright then, I guess I'm an asshole. Hey, it's a personality trait to him. And then he wonders why I don't want to come home. Hey man, did you already subscribe on me? You don't? Subscribe and press like faster. When you barely know them and they act like your best friend, then later ask to borrow money. Yikes, how to tell who is a leecher in minutes. I had a friend like that. He was in his early 20s but seemed an alright guy. One day, out of the blue, he tells me, "Dude, I really need to move out of my parents' house, but I don't have any money. I need about $300. I just stood there for a second and then said, Dude, I don't just have that kind of money. His response was, I know, but I also know you have other friends who do. Can you ask them for me? I ended the conversation and stopped talking with him from then on. We weren't even friends for very long, but I didn't need someone in my life constantly asking for money like that. I had a friend who had a mutual friend hit her up for 10K because she knew she had it. The chick was a grade A user, and I'd picked up on it pretty quickly, I was the newer friend, and distanced myself a bit from mutual friend when I saw the user tendencies. She was pretty selfish. Friend had recently been venting about all the ways this chick was inconsiderate and had been using her. So when this happened, I had to really talk her out of lending user friend the money, as did another mutual friend. Mutual friend was asking for it because she'd been acting like the stupid twit she was, and put herself in a bind and expected everyone else to save her. Friend is one of those too nice types that just wants to help, but she finally said no. The speed in which mutual friend dropped her was astonishing, though not surprising to me. It was a life lesson for Friend since she's a bit sheltered and naive with people as a whole. She's learned to stand her ground more. Still working on the supporting losers bit though. She's getting there though. If they can't take no for an answer. Yeah, I met someone, strictly platonic recently, who immediately got defensive when I said I couldn't take time away from my business at that time to do something social with them. They threatened to show up at my house and asked, "What would you do then?" There had been a bunch of red flags with this person leading up to this point, but that was where I was like, goodbye, psycho. That's not how any healthy friendship acquaintanceship works. Thank goodness I have enough good people in my life to recognize that. My girlfriend has a best friend like this. The friend and I went back and forth for almost 10 minutes as I tried to explain why I didn't want to hang out with her and some other people. In her opinion, because I don't want to, isn't a real reason not to do something. I'm terrified for anyone she has sex with, honestly. People think I'm a bitch, but I'm really just blunt and tell the truth. They can't handle that. Nah, chances are you're just a bitch. Too much information too quickly. People who divulge too much about themselves from the offset generally have poor boundary issues. I speak from experience. I am a recovering poor boundary haver. I do this, yikes. I'm also very intense in relationships and generally get attached to people too quickly. How do you develop better boundaries? You immediately start hearing from them about all the time other people have hurt them, betrayed them, or otherwise been assholes to them. If everyone you encounter is an asshole, chances are you're the asshole. I met a girl through mutual friends that seemed cute. We flirted a bit and then became Facebook friends. 98% of her feed is passive-aggressive jabs at ex-boyfriends or about guys friend-zoning her after having the nerve to accept back rubs yet not rewarding her kindness with a relationship. Oh, so if we date and it doesn't work out, you're going to put me on blast to all our mutual friends? That's a hard pass for me. More than 2 tattoo teardrop. I worked at a Hobby Lobby and some really big buff guy came in and came up to the register with 5 teardrop tattoos and purchased a pile of felt squares and a pack of sparkly stickers. That's a guy who probably suddenly turned his life around when he had a daughter. Uncommon, but not unheard of. Also, teardrop tattoos are the most painful to get removed. Meh, or didn't turn his life around but still had a daughter. People can be absolutely evil assholes and still quite nice to their kids. I have only ever met 2 men that I'm aware of who lied to me about their ages when we met. Both of these men turned out to be extremely unpleasant and abusive people. I dated one of them and knew the GF of the other one. I think people who lie easily, even over trivial things, tend to have very complex psychological problems and are best steered clear of. Oh my, this. Last boyfriend did this by 5 years to make himself look older. He lied about lots of things for months to get me to fall for him. Scariest part was how much he lied to himself to dodge his own issues. He honestly didn't see how much he was the cause of his own problems. I had to nope out of that one really fast. He ended up stalking me for months. Actually, he's still doing it. It's been a nightmare. He even moved into my neighborhood. Edit. Thank you for all the PMs. You guys were right. It was time to tell the police. I went yesterday and feel monumentally better. When they shake your hand way to fucking hard, like WTF you psycho. I still remember you, Ben, you whack job. It's funny. Handshakes are a trust ritual. See, I allow you to control my weapon hand. You can trust me. These morons think they're asserting dominance, but they're just failing a trust test. Giving a firm handshake isn't the same thing as obliterating the hand of the other people. I like firm handshake. I like to receive or give. I dislike people who want to kill your hand as much as those that handshake you in such a flimsy way that you feel they would prefer not be there with you. Anxious person here. I've heard giving a firm handshake gives a respectable impression of yourself, especially in a professional setting. I've shaken too hard several times, and usually it's out of pure nervousness. How they treat waiters, waitress, cashiers, janitors, bus drivers, and everyone in the service industry. A coworker friend of mine left a bunch of trash at the cinema after we finished watching a movie. I angrily picked up his trash, chased him, and told him to throw it away at the bin 3 meters outside of the cinema. And he replied, "Dude, why are you so Japanese?" I did graduated from Japan. I'm just letting the janitors doing their job. No, dude, it's not being Japanese, it's being having manners. Couldn't look at him the same way again ever since. If they are unaware of people around them in a social sense, like they don't thank service staff or stand in the middle of crowded walkways and not move out of the way of others. Congratulations, you have made friends with a toddler. This is not the biggest of red flags, just ones that have recently pissed me off. My ex was just like that. It was like she lived in her own little bubble. I really think it wasn't because she was a bad person per se. She just didn't seem to realize that the world didn't revolve around her. But it was really stressful going out with her because I'd always felt like I had to be twice as social, polite, aware to make up for her. Mine too, we were at a football game and the game had ended. There were 2 exits to the very large and crowded bleachers. I was waiting for someone else at the bottom, out of the way. She was following me. When she saw that it was going to be a minute, she plopped right down on one of the exit stairs to sit and wait, with a whole line of people behind her. I was about a year into the relationship, but that was probably the beginning of the end. One of my bosses once told me that whenever you start a new job position, UT as usually the first person who tries really hard to be your friend is the problem child of the office. They'll usually start telling you of people to avoid as well. I've found this very, very useful. Oof, yeah. Not all jobs have this problem, but I was screwed over massively due to this, and witnessed a lot of other people get screwed over, thanks to one person like this at one job. It's one thing if someone is just nice, but if they are trying to turn you against people, especially if it's multiple people, and even getting offended if you choose to get to know the other people yourself, run for the hills. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe, press like button, and put some comment. What red flags you have got when meeting new people?